Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala, amma ba'd. At a conference, you rarely remember anything that is said. Do you agree? Okay. So what do you remember from a conference? You remember the emotion. You remember how you felt. And your feelings can continue with you for many years, in fact. You can remember how you felt at this event and how you felt at that event. And so tonight, inshallah ta'ala, in these few moments that I have with you, I want to remind you of some places where you can get an emotional experience. Places in our deen where whenever you want to tap your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can do so. And so the first place that you would search for your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in your salah. In your salah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, بعد نعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون. So the first place you're looking for is in your salah, and specifically having concentration in prayer. A third way you can access these emotions, a third way that you can do that is through remembering the tests that the people before you went through. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا مِنكُمْ وَيَعْلَمَ الصَّابِرِينَ. And in another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَأْتِكُمْ مَثَلُ الَّذِينَ خَلَوْا مِن قَبْلِكُمْ مَسَّتْهُمُ الْبَأْسَاءُ وَالضَّرَّاءُ وَزُلْزِلُوا حَتَّى يَقُولَ الرَّسُولُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ مَتَى نَصْرُ اللَّهِ أَلَا إِنَّ نَصْرَ اللَّهِ قَرِيبٌ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, did you think that you would enter Jannah when the example of those who came before you is there for you to see? When all these hardships happened to them and they were like an earthquake underneath them, until the Prophet and the believers said, Mata Nasrullah, when is the victory of Allah going to come? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, indeed the victory of Allah is near. And so you will see in the stories of the seerah, as you read through the seerah, you will find yourself increasing in iman and increasing in your emotions as you study the life of the Prophet ﷺ and what he went through so that you could have Islam today, so that you could appreciate and have this deen and hidayah come all the way to you. The third thing, the fourth issue on how a person can increase their iman and feel this emotion, and with this last one I'll conclude, and that is you have to remember the injustices that are happening around the world. One of the injustices that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaches us about in the Quran is the burial of the little girls in pre-Islam Mecca. The Arab men used to take their daughters and they used to bury them alive. There was one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ who became a governor. And when Umar radiallahu anhu asked them if they had any complaints about their governor, they said, we have this complaint that occasionally he starts crying for no reason. And he cries and cries and cries and collapses. And he doesn't tell us why he's crying. So Umar radiallahu anhu asked this governor, why do you do this? And he didn't want to mention it, but because Umar radiallahu anhu asked him, he told them. He said that before Islam came, his wife gave birth to a baby girl. And he was sad and depressed that Allah had blessed him with a baby girl. And so he decided to kill her. And they used to kill their daughters in the most horrific way. They used to bury them alive. And so when the day came that he decided to kill her, the Arabs used to tell their wives, prepare this daughter, I'm going to take her to our relatives. And when they would say that, they knew they were going to kill her. And so the mother was very angry, and she said, don't lose this amana, this responsibility that God has given you. But he took his daughter anyway, and as little girls do, she went to the gravesite and she helped him dig the grave, as little girls help their fathers. And after he dug that grave with her help, and she's brushing the sand off his beard, he put his little daughter into the grave. And then he buried her alive. And then he asked Umar radiallahu anhu, Islam came after that, and he became Muslim. And then he asked Umar radiallahu anhu, I ask you, do I have a reason to cry? And they said, you have a reason to cry. All of these injustices that happen in the world, we have the time to smile when we forget about them. But anytime you want the emotion and you want to remember your day so that you never forget it, I would tell you to go and take care of an orphan. I would tell you to go, and all our brothers that have been detained, to go and see their families. The women that are going to sleep every night without their husbands. Sometimes we give lectures like this and we need to go back to our families. But there are families that don't have a father to come home to them because of the injustice that has happened. Dear brothers and sisters, there's a time to laugh and there's a time to cry. And I think sometimes we focus so much on laughing that it kills our hearts. And so the Prophet ﷺ said, if you only knew what I knew, you would laugh less and cry more. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us amongst those who have hearts that are alive. Hearts that are alive, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the only thing that's going to benefit you on the Day of Judgment is a heart that is alive. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you from those people. And I ask you to make dua for me as well. My name is Muhammad Shareef, and I'll see you soon inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.